Kit Guru is with Paul and Kyle, respectively. Paul's Hardware and... Are we still calling you Bitwit?
Yeah, you can.
And Bitwit Kyle. We're with AMD for their Zen 5 event, which covers all manner of things. Slightly epic, mainly laptop, bit of desktop. I'm going to just ask the easy question. Chaps, starting with Paul, what did we think of the past day and a little bit?
So I don't know if you noticed, but when we come to these events, they often talk about like the hardware that we love. And this event, there seemed to be a certain secondary topic that they were a little bit more focused on.
Would that be AI?
I didn't want to say it because I feel like you say AI too much and whatever. But yeah, there was a lot of focus on AI. I appreciated learning. I feel like I have a little bit better grasp of some of the implementations of it. That's one of my complaints about AI is like, show us exactly how it's being used and how the hardware, the NPUs that you're putting in your processors are helping to improve that. And I believe the answer we got was that there is not a good standard benchmark to test AI at this point. There isn't something that sort of universally can show a piece of hardware is good at AI or not. There are ways you can test, but I feel like we're still, I don't know, it's still building up to that. I would have appreciated a little bit more focus on the Ryzen 9000 series CPUs. We did get some info on those. And I don't know, maybe something more about like RDNA, like RDNA 4 or 5 or whichever one's going to launch next. That would have been cool too. But the food was good.
This is a disappointed man. The benchmarking, he's quite correct, is Paul. They were talking about maybe an agreed industry standard in about 9 months' time, which is next year. Yeah. And in this industry, next year is 1,000 years out. Let's turn to my man Kyle. What did you think, given that Paul is clearly quite unhappy?
You know, I think my personal opinions kind of echo Paul's a little bit. I think I was expecting 80 or 90% desktop CPUs and 10% AI, and instead it seems like we kind of got the opposite. You know, it hasn't really changed my opinion of AI. I learned a little bit, but I'm still equally fascinated and terrified of it. It's a whole thing. As for the desktop CPUs, which is what I obviously care more about at the moment, you know, it was interesting. I wish there was a little bit more information. It did confirm, well, subtly confirm that the new 9000 series parts are not going to be quite as fast as the X3D parts on 7000 series, because at first I got excited because like it's faster than an X3D part, but it's the 5800 X3D, it's the first gen X3D, and I was like, oh, okay, if it was faster than the 7000 X3D, that they would have showed that probably. So in a subtle way, they confirmed what we sort of already suspected. Obviously, I'm much more excited about the X3D parts once those come out. However, I, as being a content creator myself, I do a lot of, you know, workstation type stuff, video editing. So, you know, maybe I'll probably still mess around with the 9000 series in my own personal rig. But yeah, I guess we'll see how the benchmarks roll out.
To clarify, they actually have not stated there will be Zen 5 Ryzen 9000 3D parts.
Sure.
Although we all know damn well they're coming. Yeah. And we assume they're going to be coming in September, when we assume we're going to see the 800 series chipsets, which is a lot of assumptions. So in a sense, the actual nuts and bolts, we've not learned anything new since Computex, he says, looking to both sides. Yeah, so Computex, all the feeds and speeds and such like we got then, that's pretty much it. Pricing, they mentioned not a thing today. Yeah. And motherboards and so on, they went through at blazing pace. So I'm going to ask you now, Paul, USB 4, are you madly excited for USB 4?
I don't know if madly excited is the exact phrase I would use. I like upgraded connectivity standards. I like really fast. I mean, going from 10 gigabit to 20 gigabit, and now what are we at? 40 gigabit with USB 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I record a lot of video. I transfer a lot of large video files. Anytime I can plug in an external drive and have it actually running at like NVMe SSD speeds, that's really cool. Is it something that's going to make me say, hey, everyone, go buy an X870E motherboard? No, probably not. But I was actually more interested about the memory situation with the new motherboards, and I didn't get a chance to ask this question, but the 800 series motherboards, the X870, are going to support higher default memory overclocking speeds, up to Expo, I think DDR5 8000 is what they're saying. So my question, maybe I should ask somebody from AMD this. Does that mean...
Ask us, because we won't know either.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you guys, the audience, does that mean, is that a new basement? Is that a new sort of starting off point? Or are there existing 600 series motherboards that are very well built, the higher end ones, that already do memory overclocking very well, where we're going to see pretty much equivalent performance? Or do they need the 800 series motherboards in order to achieve a higher level?
I can say words on this subject, and Kyle will punch me if I'm completely incorrect. They were demoing on 600 series X670E, I think it was a Gigabyte and an ASRock, when they were doing their super duper overclocking, liquid nitrogen and stuff, and they were showing the base speed, which is higher than before. 4800 rings a bell, might have been 5400, and then they were showing Expo 8000. Obviously that's a huge step up. The performance boost was huge, and they were specifically saying that it was down to updates in their AGISA code. So basically provided, and they didn't use these words, but I got the sense, provided the motherboard manufacturers don't muck it up and implement AGISA cleanly, then everything is golden, and then things like Ryzen Masters got all sorts of clever new stuff built in. That was my takeaway, and now I'm going to put the pressure on Kyle to tell me I'm a liar.
You're a liar.
Holy God, that's cold. Were you awake during the memory overclocking section?
Actually, that was the one part I was awake for.
Oh, brilliant! What did you think?
I thought it was impressive. Same questions though. Is this just going to be a simple BIOS update that's going to allow us to hit those speeds easily? Is it going to depend on the various the memory quality of the board, like the traces and the trace quality rather? I don't know. I'm excited about it, though. That's all I have to say. I was asleep. I was asleep a little bit through the overclocking demo.
He had a hard night last night, and then we've seen the effects today. Now, given that the processors are launching, just the super duper processors, but not the 3D processors, and we imagine there'll be some non-X processors later in the year as well, probably, but who knows for sure. And motherboards won't be coming until later this year. So we've just got processors, drop-in replacements, still AM5, still DDR5. But no new graphics from NVIDIA till the end of the year, hopefully. Nothing from AMD. It's only processors. In your humble opinion, as a man that used to sell parts for a living, do you think it's going to be upgrade your processor in AM5, or are people going to wait for a bigger change to their platform?
Since AM5 has already been on the market for a year plus, I think it's going to be... the advice is probably going to be similar advice we've heard in the past, which is if you're already on AM5, if you've already got a 7000 series processor, I doubt it's going to be a compelling upgrade option. But for anyone who's building new, and again, I'm speculating here, don't go out and buy stuff. Do people go and buy stuff if you tell them to buy stuff?
With your Amazon affiliates, I hope they do.
With the Amazon affiliate. Yeah, so I think it's probably going to be, if you're buying new, it's probably going to be the new hot thing that you should buy. And if people are upgrading from much older systems or upgrading from maybe AM4 or an older Intel platform, it might be a recommendation. But what this event has gotten me most excited about is the clash that I think is being set up later this year, with AMD holding off on the motherboard launch and likely the speculatively the X3D launch. I think they're just timing that, and they're just gonna drop it right whenever they find out when Intel's launching LGA 1851. I think they're gonna put that up against each other, so there's another round of benchmarks that come out with the X3D processors, and I think it's gonna be a fight. I actually am somewhat pulling for Intel to kind of come back a little bit. I feel like they've had some difficulties on their current platform. But overall, I'm mostly pulling for it to be a very competitive race between the two, because I think that's what benefits consumers most.
It was noticeable in the very few comparison charts they showed. So they're comparing against Intel 14th gen at the minute, which obviously is the current one, as opposed to Arrow Lake that Paul alluded to, which is going to be Core Ultra 200 and some horrible new name that none of us get. It's not 15th gen, it's Core Ultra 200.
It's right up there with the SoC naming for the mobile chips that AMD did.
Which is officially confusing. And the fact we have laptops here exactly running on Strix point, but they're not necessarily a Zeus laptop, so that's also confusing to us. Lots of confusion. But they were comparing in their comparison charts Core i9 14900K with the 12 core 9000 processor, and then the i7 against the 8 core, and then the i5 against the 6 core. It was almost like the assumption was the 16 core is just going to rock and roll and rule anything Intel's got in the current gen, let alone the next gen. Or, once again, I'm asking, I don't want to ask Carl, have I got this wrong?
Yes. No, you did great, Leo. You did great.
Oh, thank you so much. This is just a joy working with professionals on their home turf. Laptops. Kyle, do you have something positive to say about Strix Point laptops, or is it really desktop all the way for you?
I'm a desktop purist. I think laptops are an important thing in the marketplace for people who need them and who don't require the utmost amount of power, performance, and screw efficiency. You don't need efficiency. You just need frames. You just need frames. Frames win games. Wait, I can't say that. That's a Team Green statement, isn't it? I don't care. It doesn't matter.
It is indeed Team Green. One last word on the AI and the Microsoft Copilot Plus. It's become a legal requirement to mention Copilot Plus and AI in every single sentence. That Microsoft recall that they have humorously recalled.
Yeah.
Can you work in a mom joke? And also, was recall the worst ever idea? Or do you think there's something even worse around the corner?
There's probably something worse around the corner because it's kind of, I want to say chicken and egg, but that's probably not a good analogy. Like, they need to train the AI on something. And they were like, oh, let's train it on what everyone is doing on their computers. We'll just do that. And obviously people weren't very happy with that decision. So I'm glad they recalled it. I don't know how they I feel like what they want, at least what they say they want to do with it, because they always try to present things like, oh, we're doing something that's helpful and it will make things better for people. And if that's true, which I don't believe, but if that's true, then they need to train Copilot on something. And if AI is going to improve our lives, it needs to be able to look at stuff that we do in order to find out ways to do it better, or at least that's the understanding I've come to learn. So anyway,
to cut in, and
I was trying to think of a mom joke.
And then to save all your doings in a folder on your PC or your laptop for that matter, regularly snapshotting your bank and your browsing habits and God knows what else. A terrible idea. We're glad they recall. We have, I think, enjoyed the AMD event, even though Carl's suffering. So I'm just going to say thank you very much, chaps, for joining me on this video. Kyle, did you enjoy the AMD thing, or has it nearly been the death of you?
It's been awful. No, it's been fun.
And Paul?
I had a great time because we got to see you, Leo, as well as so many of the other, I love the community of tech reviewers because I feel like all of us generally have a pretty positive vibe. So it's really cool to be able to come to events like this, see people face to face, and then go back home and hide in my garage for like 4 months.
So at Computex, the slogan was, the more you buy, the more you save. Here, the slogan is, all in it together, I think.
Well, that works because it starts with AI if you do the...
I'd actually missed that. That's nice. On that note, thank you very much, chaps.
Thank you.